What is going on, everyone? My name is Drew Spencer with the React and Attack Football Podcast, where we try and go over NFL content from all 32 teams every single day. And boy, oh boy, there's always something going on in the NFL world. And if you like what you hear, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's go. So I just got back from watching an amazing game. The Lions versus Ravens, as I expected, as I kind of predicted, this game to be fireworks offensively, and that's exactly what we got. As both teams' offenses were kind of unstoppable. Now on more so on Detroit side, as both quarterbacks ended up finishing this game at a very respectable completion percentage rate, a very respectable all the way around in terms of how it was going, and it was blow for blow. And I was hoping for fireworks, and this is exactly what we got. And I got to start with the Lions, obviously, as they won this game. And this was a game that I was very adamant about and believed that if the Lions were to win this game, that all of a sudden, even though they won 15 games last year and won the NFC, now all of a sudden the media is going to start talking about this team as an ultimate contender for the Super Bowl. Yeah, man. Uh, it almost seems that even with Ben Johnson gone, John Morton is cooking up some awesome things. I mean, that flip out play, the pitch play on the end around to Amon-Ra St. Brown, where he flips it over to Jahmyr Gibbs and then he goes in for the touchdown. That's just a work of art that they've been practicing on for a long time. These are the types of plays that we're so accustomed to seeing from the Lions, and yet we attributed that to Ben Johnson, and they're still able to get this done. Um, as if they have taken fragments of his playbook and kept it within the facility. Yeah, man. And this team likes to be crafty. They know they have the talent to do it. And the first group of players I want to talk about for the Lions is this offensive line. No sacks allowed this game. And sure, Matabuke out for this game. The Ravens a little bit hobbled on the D line. But the fact that this Lions offensive line, even though under siege, was unfazed completely throughout all aspects of this game. When this was back and forth, the Ravens were sending blitzes after blitz continuously, and yet this O line did not budge, and it allowed Jared Goff to do what he does best when he's has no pressure around him, to operate this system at a very high level. And you mix in the fact that they rushed for over 250 yards. You know, Mon, David Montgomery, 151 yards himself, two touchdowns. Um, Jahmyr Gibbs was running around. He had two touchdowns on the game and five catches out of the backfield. I mean, this offense is everything that you want. And I would usually do this traditionally and break down things by position, but this game was so exciting that it's hard to contain. Um, Jared Goff, again, nearly perfect today. Again, the second week in a row where he is just able to distribute and be unfazed by the pressure and get things out, convert after play, and it's been incredible. When it comes to the flow of this game, offensively for the Lions, it was, again, a slugfest, right? Back and forth, back and forth. But I gotta call something out, even though it worked out. Dan Campbell, we all know him. He loves going for it on fourth down. He is unafraid of anything, and for good reason. He has a very good roster that's going to be able to back him up. But there are some times, uh, as someone who doesn't always watch Dan Campbell football, I'm like, damn, why are you blowing your timeout right before the third quarter? Why are you doing it here in this? And here's the thing: every time that I question that, for instance, blew the timeout in the third quarter, I was like, that seems a little weird. Wouldn't you like to have those timeouts? He capitalizes, get a touchdown. Okay, okay. Then later on, they get down the field. Uh, well, not even down the field, right or before midfield. Third down, they don't get it. They call a field goal. Or, I mean, they call a timeout, and then they bring out the unit for the fourth down again. They bring out their offense, and we're all asses clenched completely, right? And they go for it, and it's the biggest play of the game. That nice strike from Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that essentially helps seal the game as they're able to score a touchdown in the ensuing drive. So many times that I've always looked at Dan Campbell like today, like I was like watching the game. I remember saying, I was like, Dan Campbell, I love your balls, but sometimes it seems like you only think with them. And yet here he is proving me wrong, essentially with it. And I mean, when you have the roster to do it, these guys are well conditioned. The offensive line is a juggernaut to set up these plays. You have such efficient guys all across the board, running backs with hands, good tight ends. Yeah, you can set these things up, but to see it in action um, against a really good Ravens team, I think it gives me so much more optimism about the team because it's the risk reward, right? Because yeah, if they fuck this up, they're still in the lead, but they're giving the Ravens an extra 4 minutes to the clock. God knows what happens. Instead, they capitalize on there. I every time I question it, they turn it around, man. Uh, I love Dan Campbell for that, and big reason why the Lions continue to keep rolling. Aiden Hutchinson in this Lions defense was able to contain Lamar Jackson pretty well throughout the game. Now, Lamar Jackson was still able to get his, and I'll get into the Ravens here in a little bit, but this defensive line was generating pressure from all over the place, and the main contributor from it, the spearhead, was Aiden Hutchinson, as he is, right? um, to see him healthy and out there wreaking havoc again this year. Um, Big reason why the Lions couldn't go much further last year, I do believe. Not only just because the explicit amount of injuries that they had, but to lose a player like him, well, now he's back in the swing of things. Man, oh man, he is a freak, and he lets up everyone to get into their position. I mean, Jack Campbell came in for a sack. Uh, Muhammad came in for 2 sacks at the game. They had pressure coming in. Brian Branch had some extra pressures in even coming in from it and dominated, spearheaded from that one side where he can just, if you line him up one on one, you're fucked. It's a stupid call. He's going to beat you every time. When you have an elite edge rusher like Aiden Hutchinson, you put someone on an island and you don't get someone over there as he showcased in this game. I mean, the Lions had 6 sacks this game to the Ravens 0. I mean, and it's not like the Ravens offensive line is some pushover. Um, they were just immensely more prepared. Uh it's for the defense overall, they did an amazing job. I guess the one thing that I guffaw at is Terry and Arnold and Brian Branch again getting these penalties. Now again, it didn't screw them over, but in the heat of the moment with how close back and forth that game was, where it seemed like God, whoever has the ball last might win this. It seemed that way through most of the game until the last like 6 minutes. Um, those boneheaded penalties. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you excuse it because they both have extreme talent, but it's like, come on, guys, if you guys get wrap your heads around and we play clean football, it's done, right? It's fucking done. Um, yeah, I have nothing but great words to say about this Lions team. The waxing crescent moon apparently is a real fucking thing, and it's fun. So, yeah. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens walked away with a loss, but it's kind of hard to pinpoint this on Lamar Jackson or their offense. Now, we'll get into some specifics, but Lamar Jackson, for instance, today was nearly perfect, just like Jared Goff. 21 28, 288 yards, three touchdown passes. Was able to move around on the ground for 35 yards, scramble around, extend plays, navigating the pocket. As I said, he was sacked 6 times, so he was under constant duress. But if you look through how much duress it seemed like he was able to navigate through the pocket, you would expect him to have gotten sacked more. He played extremely lights out throughout this game. Um, but out up until the fourth quarter when it became crunch time, that's when the blow for blow stopped becoming a thing. Detroit got their momentum away, and Lamar was able took some sacks at some big junctures at the time, and really couldn't get things going at the end. But look, man, uh, Ravens fans out there, like I would not be freaking out about this game. The Lions came in; they knew exactly what they're going to do. You didn't have your top defensive line. That was like the biggest thing, you know, letting this ultimate talented running back duo run all over you without the effect. But here everyone was talking about, well, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they can run over all the Lions himself too, right? They're without Aleem McNeil, they're without guys like that. So why, should be the same. Well, Detroit's defense just handled it so well against Derrick Henry and cushioned him into a point that he wasn't able to really break out on much. And they were able to, they always had a spy, it seemed like, on Lamar Jackson. They were not fooled with the read option or anything like that. They did a really good job at containing him for the most part. They still had their own dues. Obviously, the big moment and contention against Derrick Henry is the big fumble in the fourth quarter, um, which effectively kind of sealed the beginning of the end for the Ravens there. Uh, and that's two games this year where Derrick Henry has fumbled in a big moment. But unlike that game against Buffalo, this wasn't a super huge, great game from Derrick Henry. Now, he had some nice runs. He had a touchdown in there, but um, needed to see more from him. And you'd expect it in this back and forth. But am I upset with him? No. I think this team overall kind of ran into a buzzsaw, and it was about momentum shifting for the offense. And the momentum just was never swinging much in the pendulum of the Ravens as the game continued to wear on. And that's because it almost seemed like these receivers, um, sometimes not getting the separation, or a few times Lamar Jackson missed some throws to guys that, I mean, there was one where he did a bootleg and maybe he was under a little bit more pressure than I anticipated. Maybe didn't see maybe it was miscommunication, but it almost seemed that he threw it out of bounds, right? I felt like he had a guy there. I mean, there's some things in there where the stats look good overall, but a little few minor mistakes there for Baltimore kind of kept him out of this, and then obviously getting sacked 6 times. So, um, the Ravens overall defensively, they played a pretty clean game up until towards the end. They got a little bit grabby, understandably, um, but they were flying around making tackles. Again, this was back and forth, um, up until the fourth quarter there. So, I'm not gonna count too much on this Ravens defense, but I think this was just one of those games where the Ravens were outgunned, and when they had the momentum in their side, they weren't able to, maintain it. They capitalized when they could, but Lions came in and kind of beat the fucking brakes off of him, honestly, man. So, yeah.